gonna name our top 10 NFL teams because it was a comment brought up that, you know, this one team was in the top 10. So we went through what we felt was our top 10. And we're gonna go. And before we get started, I think we'll go over the honorable mentions. One of them was the Rams, greatest show on turf, and one with McAvey.
Mhm.
McVay, did well. Won it recently. That team, I think, was a dominant team. Matthew Stafford, Todd
Mhm.
Gurley. Gurley was on that team, right?
Yeah, Cooper
Yeah.
Cup was amazing.
Cooper Cup, Aaron Donald, that defense, Jalen Ramsey,
Yeah,
Odell Beckham Jr. too. I think he got
Odell was
injured
there.
like a
He got
halftime,
injured.
but
Yep.
so won him a championship. So that was one honorable mention. Another one, the Colts, the Manning eras.
Hmm.
Anything Peyton Manning touch has to be mentioned. In possibly this top 10 or very close to it. Won one Super Bowl with him, and then next the Bills. Bills back in the day, four appearances to the Super Bowl, but couldn't capitalize. But what they did during that time, amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, just to go, wasn't it 4 times in a row,
Yeah,
if I'm
four
not
times in a
mistaken?
row and lost four. Jim
You
Kelly, right?
know,
Quarterback that
yeah,
lost it.
with Jim Kelly,
Yeah.
incredible run. Definitely worth mentioning. And then they're also good to mention because Josh Allen might bring
Hmm.
him back to the promised land again.
Yeah.
MVP this past season. I think he's incredible. He's now married. Maybe it's all the difference.
It could make a difference.
Could be.
Yeah.
But yeah, good honorary mentions. And I will start us off here. We're going to count down from 10 to 1,
Yeah.
and we'll just do a little rotation. This is
Oh.
love it. Love it. We're on the clock. Uh, so yeah, number 10. We decided on going with Philly. So two recent Super Bowl wins. This team is obviously historic. They've had incredible wins. Going back to the Andy Reid days with Donovan McNabb, Michael Vick had a
Hmm.
time there that he was great. But with what they've been able to do, winning that first one against obviously Brady,
Hmm.
Nick Foles stepping up and just going off, and that was such a fun Super Bowl win. That was an incredible game. And then
Hmm.
obviously last year with pure and utter dominance,
Hmm.
beating the crap out of the Chiefs, both ends of the ball.
Yeah.
It was a sight to see, and very well could be on having on the verge of another great season
Hmm.
ahead. So
Yeah.
number 10, we started with Philly.
Yeah. In one note with Philly for me too, they beat some of the best quarterbacks to win a Super Bowl.
Mhm.
They beat Tom Brady, destroyed Tom Brady, you could say,
Mhm.
embarrassed him, and then destroyed and embarrassed Patrick Mahomes, who a lot of people think is
Mhm.
the GOAT. We could go on another conversation about that. So
Yeah,
that's why they're up there. They beat some of the greatest teams, on turf to win Super Bowls.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and taking down the dynasty that was the Pats.
Hmm.
That's important.
Yeah. All right. Go with our next pick, number 9. We have Seattle Seahawks. They had a dominant run. Their defense, the Legion of Boom, some of the most dangerous defensive teams we saw for quite a bit. Made multiple Super Bowls, won one Super Bowl, but a team that you never wanted to see in the playoffs. And we sort of talked about it too. Pete Carroll taking Russell Wilson, one of the shorter quarterbacks, to win a Super Bowl. I think a lot of people didn't think Russell Wilson was going to be successful in the NFL due to his size. So a team like that winning it's amazing, and that's why they're on the list at number 9.
Yeah, as a Niners fan, I despise Seattle and what they were doing with the Legion of Boom. But damn, was that a good defense?
Hmm.
Man, yeah, it was
It
a good
was.
run. Would have been two Super Bowl wins if they would have just ran the damn ball.
Yep.
But good number 9 definitely
Yeah.
makes the list.
Yeah. Okay.
So love that chime, so good.
Mhm.
Moving on to number 8, got the Baltimore Ravens, two Super Bowl wins, dominant defenses.
Mhm.
Speak of Legion of Boom, this is another one right there. Ray Lewis, Ed Reed. Two names just worth mentioning right off the bat. Terrell Suggs,
Mhm.
arguably one of the best football names of all time. Terrell
Yeah.
Suggs, like, he's gonna hit the shit out of you. It just kind of goes and offense is obviously a little bit better now than it was
Mhm.
in the past in Super Bowls. In those victories, at least in the first one,
Mhm.
defense carried the way. Second one, Flacco obviously incredible.
Yeah.
Fortunately, did it in the hardball bowl against my Niners.
Mhm.
Tried turning off the lights. I'll always reference that. Didn't work though, but it was a great team.
Yeah.
Baltimore has always been competitive.
Mhm.
I just feel like that they're always mentioned. And then now, you guys, and I say you guys because John's obviously a big
Mhm.
Baltimore Ravens fan. Lamar Jackson's incredible. He's fun to watch. Hell of a team over there. A lot of good assets around him. So I think Baltimore Super Bowl run is still there. Derrick Henry is obviously
Mhm.
incredible. So it's just continued, and
Mhm.
just the amount of success to go
Yeah.
along with those two Super Bowl wins is
Mhm.
great.
Yeah, very consistent making the playoffs. I think they take like a year off every now and then, but always in there. So, Baltimore, great defense. Tony Saragusa, Haloti Ngata, some
Oh
of the
yeah.
players you can't even get through. So yeah, that's a good number 8.
Goose.
Yeah. Next at number 7, we have the New York Giants. And the big reason I think we have the Giants in the top 10, Eli Manning winning 2 Super Bowls against Tom Brady. So for a total of 4 Super Bowls for the Giants, but the 2 they won against Brady, they just like Philly, they beat the dynasty, they beat the GOAT. And one of them they beat Tom Brady's undefeated Patriot team, who were going for history to match the Miami Dolphins. If you can't appreciate that as a football fan, you're just a hater. I appreciate it about the Giants. I give him his prop. Eli, that he's a funny guy now. I see a lot of that. But back then, I think we all made fun of him. But kudos to him. Kudos to these Giants, and that's why they're number 7.
Yeah, that was such a fun team to watch. That helmet catch by David Tyree,
Yeah.
it's just, we'll live in forever eternity.
Yeah.
Great team.
Yep.
Moving right along, we got the Green Bay Packers. 1-1 with Brett Favre, another one with Aaron Rodgers, storied franchise, obviously the Super Bowl trophy named after their first coach,
Hmm.
Lombardi. And, it's they're always relevant, even
Hmm.
when they have slightly down years. We're always talking Packer football. They've owned the Bears for many, many years. And, just obviously just can't seemingly ever have a subpar quarterback there. They just always try to find somebody. Hopefully, Jordan Love can kind of pull it together after his big contract. I'm sure
Hmm.
he can. But Packers definitely worth mentioning, that historical franchise here on this list.
Yeah. Yeah. Favre beat the Patriots before Tom Brady, so
Oh,
Patriots, showing a little bit there, and then Rodgers beating the Steelers. That's a team that you have to give props to beating the Steelers.
oh yeah.
So great teams to beat. And we'll go on to our next pick at number 5. We have the Denver Broncos. We have John Elway era when John Elway played, dominant football player. Broncos were always there. I think everybody was a Broncos fan because of John Elway when they were in the Super Bowl. And then in 2015, Peyton Manning made a run with him as well. One of the most dominant, teams to win a Super Bowl. Made it easy, and like I say, that gave 2 for Peyton Manning too, being able to take 2 teams to the championship.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it was such a dominant run. That defense was absolutely incredible. And yeah, shout out John Elway. Always made me want to have that Vortex football. Made it feel like I could throw it a million miles as well. So
Hmm.
number 4, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers. 6 Super Bowls in total, 4 Super Bowls in the late 70s, and then 2 modern era. Obviously, very historical franchise. Been absolutely incredible. The modern era of the Pittsburgh Steelers with Big Ben and, just all the success that they've had. They've been dominant on the defensive end
Hmm.
as of late. Offense has struggled at times, but back in the day, the offense was just dominant, just as dominant as what the defense was. But it's not a top 10 list, NFL list without mentioning the Pittsburgh Steelers. Historical franchise have had so many, iconic names go through
Hmm.
that roster. So somebody that's always involved, late in
Yeah.
seasons.
Yeah. All right. Next at number 3, we have the San Francisco 49ers. So San Francisco, 5 Super Bowls. They won it with Joe Montana, Steve Young, some of the greatest quarterbacks in history. We've talked about Montana, a little bit of winning 4 with 0 interceptions and all his Super Bowl wins. So, and some of the greatest show on football, show on turf. I think they created the West Coast offense sort of started with the 49ers. So
Mhm.
really, modernizing the game and just showing something new that nobody knew, and now everybody uses it. So trendsetters right there with the San Francisco 49ers, 5 Super Bowls and their players.
Absolutely. Shout out my Niners, Montana, incredible. Steve Young, incredible. Jerry Rice,
Hmm.
incredible. So many iconic names. T.O. had so many glorious years with us. And now we're an appearance type team.
Hmm.
Obviously, last 3 we shown up, we haven't capitalized, but it'll happen. It'll happen
Oh,
again.
wow.
But we're always involved. Shout
Yeah.
out 49ers.
Yes.
Moving up to the number 2 spot, we have the New England Patriots. Tom Brady era dominance, in and of itself is dominance. Dude is absolutely incredible. 6 Super Bowls in total, right? With the
Hmm.
Pats. One later on with Tampa, kind of proved that he could do it without Belichick,
Hmm.
which is, kind of eliminated that talk of who's more valuable.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, can't deny it. Really their only kryptonite throughout all those years was Eli Manning.
Yes.
Outside of that, nobody could stop him.
Yeah.
Patriots.
Yeah. They could have had a lot more if it wasn't for Eli, and then the Eagles just with some of their crafty plays.
Yep.
Uh, but yeah, you can't deny the Patriots' dominance and why they're one of the best teams, in the league. And then number one, it shouldn't be a surprise to anybody, but this is going to be a team that it might be a little hard for us to say, but we're going to say it. It's Tom Brady because he is everybody's daddy. He just dominated the league. So Tom Brady is better than a lot of these teams ever because what he's done just overall, you have to call him daddy.
He literally daddied the whole league,
Uh,
his entire run. So can't deny that. Absolutely incredible. Shout out Tom TB12, the
cool.
TB12s. He did it with Belichick. He did it
Hmm.
without it. Late round draft pick proved it all.
Hmm.
Um, Tom Brady.
Yeah.
There it is. And most of all with this list, if we left anybody out, please let us know
Hmm.
what your thoughts are. These lists. It's the time of year we do lists. So,
Yes.
but we always value any opinions on things
Hmm.
here.